Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping into something that feels, well, almost futuristic, but it's here now. AI summarizing videos.
Yeah, especially tackling that huge mountain of content on YouTube.
Exactly. We've looked at some really interesting stuff articles explaining how these AI summarizers work, the tech behind them.
And even a hands-on comparison of different tools out there trying to save us some time scrolling through YouTube.
So our mission today really is to figure out where AI video summarization stands right now.
Understand what it can actually do, how it might help us learn things more efficiently.
And importantly, what are the sort of ethical considerations we need to think about?
Right, big topic.
Okay, let's dive in. Think about YouTube. It's just endless.
Absolutely overwhelming sometimes.
So the idea that AI could just give you the main points of a long lecture or maybe a detailed review in like seconds, that feels huge.
It really is. It's a potential game changer for anyone wanting to absorb information without sinking hours into watching first.
Yeah, one of the articles we looked at really highlighted this rapid increase in video content.
And how hard it is to quickly find what you actually need in all that noise.
Exactly. And that's where this AI video summarization comes in, offering a shortcut almost.
A way to efficiently pull out the key value from a video.
So how does this digital magic actually work? It sounds incredibly complex.
Well, it's a mix of technologies working together. First, you've got something like OpenCV, which helps the AI watch the video, processing the visuals.
Frame by frame.
Yeah, basically. Then deep neural networks come into play. Think of them as really smart pattern recognizers,
Okay.
learning to spot what's visually important. And finally, there's natural language processing, NLP.
Ah, the language part.
Right. That takes the spoken words, the transcript, and boils it all down into a concise summary.
So it's not just recognizing like a cat video, it's actually trying to get the substance.
Precisely. One source mentioned the goal is to enhance the accessibility and efficiency of educational content consumption.
Which is huge for learning, right? Making it faster, easier.
Definitely. The potential applications are massive. Imagine students getting quick summaries before class.
Or recommendation engines pointing you to the exact part of a video you need.
Yeah, and beyond education, too. Think media, analyzing news clips quickly, or surveillance footage.
Sports highlights even.
Dear
Instant
Lord.
recaps.
Could be. The reach is pretty broad.
Now the engine behind this, deep learning. That seems to be the real breakthrough here.
It is. Our sources emphasize that it understands video content much more deeply than older methods.
How so? What did older methods do?
They often focused on low-level visual features, like basic shapes, colors, motion.
Kind of superficial.
You could say that. Deep learning, on the other hand, aims to grasp the semantic content.
Semantic content, meaning like the actual meaning of what's happening.
Exactly. It's not just seeing pixels that look like a car. It's understanding it's a car, maybe it's driving, maybe it's part of a traffic scene.
Okay, that's a big difference.
It is. These deep neural networks, DNNs, they learn these richer interpretations by training on enormous data sets, videos paired with summaries.
So you have to feed it tons of examples.
Massive amounts. And different types of networks are being used, like convolutional neural networks, CNNs, which are especially good with images and video.
But it can't be all smooth sailing. What are the challenges?
Well, getting all that training data, collecting it, labeling it, that's a huge bottleneck. It's very resource intensive.
Right.
And also, how do you even measure if a summary is good? It can be pretty subjective. What I find useful, you might not.
That makes sense. A good summary depends on what you're looking for.
Exactly. But the progress in understanding this semantic content, these high-level features, that really is pushing the field forward. It suggests AI is moving beyond just identifying objects.
Towards understanding the story, maybe? The overall message?
Something like that. Understanding relationships, context, the bigger picture.
Okay, so we understand the why and a bit of the how. Let's talk practical tools.
Right.
Because some of this stuff is actually usable right now for YouTube, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Several options are out there. Gemini, which used to be called Bard, is a really accessible one.
Right, Google's AI chatbot. It has a YouTube extension.
It does. You can enable it pretty easily on desktop or mobile.
And how do you use it? Let's say I find a video I want summarized.
Simple enough. Copy the video's web address, the URL,
Right.
paste that link into Gemini, and then just ask it plainly. Summarize this video, or what are the key takeaways?
And it just does it.
It does, but, and this is important, it relies on YouTube's own text generation, the captions or transcripts.
Ah, so if the video doesn't have captions.
Then Gemini can't summarize it. That's a key limitation.
Yeah.
Also, right now, it works best for videos in English, Japanese, and Korean.
Got it. Still, sounds incredibly handy for getting a quick idea if a long video is worth watching.
Totally. Or, as one source mentioned, maybe quickly comparing products in different review videos without watching them all.
Yeah, or for learning. Get a quick overview, maybe even ask follow-up questions.
Exactly. It can be like a learning companion. You can even ask for the summary in specific formats, like a table for comparisons.
Nice. Now, Gemini is the only game in town, right? Microsoft's Copilot came up too.
That's right. If you happen to use the Microsoft Edge browser, Copilot has a feature built in.
Oh, within the browser itself.
Yeah. When you're on a YouTube page, there's often an option to generate video summary right in the Copilot sidebar, especially if you set Copilot to its creative mode, which uses GPT-4.
How does it stack up against Gemini?
Our sources suggest it might be a bit slower than Gemini sometimes, but it generally produces good summaries, and it's free if you're using Edge.
Okay, good to have options. What about the big one, ChatGPT?
Standard ChatGPT can't directly summarize YouTube videos just from a link. It doesn't have that built-in web access for YouTube content in the same way.
So no go there.
Not directly, but there's a workaround. There are custom versions of ChatGPT, these things called GPTs, that are designed specifically for YouTube summarization.
Custom GPTs.
Okay.
How do they work?
You'd need to find one in the GPT store, enable it, and then explicitly give it permission to access the YouTube link you provide.
So a few extra steps involved.
Yeah, bit more setup. And performance-wise, one test suggested using these custom GPTs could be slower than Gemini Advanced, but maybe faster than Copilot and Edge.
Interesting. So it really depends on what tools you use or pay for. And there was a point about Google Workspace accounts.
Right, crucial detail. If you're using Gemini through a work or school Google Workspace account, that YouTube extension needed for summarization, it's usually not available there.
Ah, so personal Google accounts work best for Gemini's YouTube trick.
Generally, yes. So to recap the tools, Gemini with the personal account and the extension works well. Copilot in Edge works well. Default ChatGPT doesn't, but specific custom GPTs can.
Good summary of the summaries. It sounds like you should maybe try a couple and see what fits your workflow.
Exactly. Experimentation is key.
Now, shifting gears slightly, building these AI models, that's not happening on your average laptop, I assume.
Definitely not. To actually develop this kind of advanced AI, you need some serious hardware muscle.
Of what?
Powerful GPUs are essential, graphics processing units. They're just much better at the kind of math these models require, and you need GPUs with plenty of their own memory.
Okay, high-end graphics cards.
Yep. Plus, a good amount of system RAM, think 32 gigabytes or more, to handle the large data sets and models. And fast storage, like SSDs, is pretty crucial too for loading data quickly during training.
So serious computing power.
Yep.
What about the software side?
Well, Windows is common, but Linux is also heavily used in development. Python is the main language, usually a recent version like 3.8 or higher.
And then the AI frameworks.
Right. TensorFlow and PyTorch are the big ones. Then you need a whole suite of libraries. NumPy for numerical stuff, Pandas for data handling, OpenCV for the video processing we mentioned.
NLTK or Spacey for language?
Exactly. Plus, libraries like Transformers for state-of-the-art language models, maybe Streamlit or Flask for building interfaces, Scikit-learn for general machine learning tasks.
Wow, it's a whole ecosystem.
It really is. And don't forget tools like VS Code for writing the code and Git or GitHub for version control and collaboration. It's quite the stack.
That list really drives home how much complex engineering goes into these tools that we might end up using with just a click.
It's pretty amazing how accessible the results of all that work are becoming.
Okay, so we've talked about using these tools, building them.
Yeah.
What about the ethics? They came up in our sources too.
Yes, and it's incredibly important. As AI gets more powerful, especially in creating or manipulating content, we need to think hard about responsible use.
What are the key principles?
Transparency and disclosure are big ones. If AI was used to generate or significantly alter video content or even just summarize it, creators should ideally be clear about that.
So people know what they're looking at.
Right. Then there's accountability and attribution. Creators using AI tools should take responsibility for the output. AI doesn't excuse errors or bias, and giving credit where it's due is important.
Makes sense.
What else? Data privacy and security are crucial. especially when user data might be involved in training these AI models. Handling that data responsibly is paramount.
Yeah, protecting user information.
And beyond these specific points, there's a whole landscape of broader ethical questions about AI's impact, things touched upon in one of the compilations we saw, about how technology intersects with business practices and potential societal effects. We don't need to dive into every single one, but the overall theme is clear. Technology brings ethical challenges.
We need to be mindful as we embrace these powerful tools.
Absolutely. Balancing innovation with responsibility.
Now, looking ahead, our sources also mentioned the Gemini API for developers. This sounds like it opens up even more possibilities.
It really does. The API lets developers tap into Gemini's video understanding capabilities directly.
What kind of things can it do?
Quite a lot, actually. Describe what's happening, segment the video into parts, extract specific info, answer questions about the content.
And even refer to exact timestamps.
Yes, within videos up to 90 minutes long, which is quite substantial.
90 minutes. And it's multimodal, you said, meaning it handles different data types.
Correct. It can process video, audio, and text together.
How do developers actually give it the video?
There are three main ways. You can upload the video file using their file API that's good for larger files, or if you want to reuse the video.
Okay.
For shorter clips, under 20 MB, you can pass the video data directly in the request.
In line, sort of.
Exactly. Or, and this ties back to our earlier chat, you can just include a public YouTube URL directly in the prompt you send to the API.
So developers could build tools that directly analyze YouTube videos using this.
Precisely. Though there are some limitations to be aware of when using YouTube URLs. There's a daily processing limit, currently 8 hours total video time per day. You can only analyze one YouTube video per API request. And it only works for public videos, not private or unlisted ones.
Got it. Important constraints. How does the timestamp referencing work?
You just include the time in MMSS format in your query, like what concept is explained around 05.30.
Very cool. And it can transcribe the audio, too.
Yes, and provide visual descriptions. It does this by sampling the video, typically at about 1 frame per second.
1 frame per second. So, like we discussed, really fast action might lose some detail.
That's the trade-off. It's a best practice to be aware of that potential detail loss in very dynamic scenes. The API docs also explain how costs are calculated based on video processing.
Yeah, developers need to know that.
And they recommend things like 1 video per prompt, put your text instructions after the video part in your request, and again, be mindful of that sampling rate.
So from simple browser tools anyone can try to these advanced developer APIs, it's clear AI video summarization is moving fast.
Incredibly fast. We're getting powerful tools to navigate and understand the sheer volume of video out there, especially on platforms like YouTube.
This has been a really insightful look into where things stand.
Definitely. It's a fascinating space to watch.
And it leaves us, and you, with a final thought to chew on. As AI keeps getting better at understanding and summarizing complex video, how is this going to fundamentally change the way we learn, the way we do research, how we just interact with information online?
Yeah, what new possibilities open up, and perhaps more importantly, what new ethical questions or challenges will we face as these technologies weave themselves even more tightly into our digital lives?